JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. May 9th, 2024. We have about 31 minutes here to the open. Gonna be really quick with a pre-market rant. Take a look at a SP to SPY close pretty much flat on the session. Choppy session. Went into the red in the afternoon, then into the green late afternoon. Pullback was the last 5 minutes. Pulled it flat. The Dow actually closed in the green. Nasdaq closed lower. And here it is this morning. Futures are slightly higher. Initial jobless claims came in somewhat in line. There's not much in the way of market moving events and catalysts outside of the CPI data next week. So hopefully get some chop here, 512.50, 518.50. Find some resolution maybe tomorrow or next week and get into the 520s. And the mantra, sell in May and go away, maybe that's going to be a myth this year. So let's see how this all plays out. Another thing I would like to see is the small caps. And the small caps, at some point, I keep saying, want to see the small caps lead the charge for the next leg of the rally. And I think a lot of the small caps outside of SMCI and MSTR are composed of biotechs. So that in turn would bode well for some of these smaller cap biotechs, which I'm particularly bullish on. So pretty, I wouldn't say I'm bullish per se on the markets. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think some chop here, and then we can work our way into the 520s next week on a SPY. So some of the trades yesterday, Dell finally over the 130 handle in the morning. Went and got some spec calls. I still have some May 17 strikes expiring next week too. Uh, all the way to 131 and change, then fell back under 130 for most of the afternoon until the 2 o'clock hour. Then it spiked from 130 all the way up to 138, 31.88 and change, close at 131.61. I really like this one. I think at some point it's 140 in the coming days, hopefully between today and tomorrow. I may look to add some more May 17 strikes if it holds green this morning. You've heard my rants on Dell. I think it's well positioned to take advantage of what's going on with AI. It has a multi-billion-dollar backlog. It has new products that are hitting the market. It their partnership and collaborations with NVIDIA just bodes well, I think, for the stock, and I think continues to head higher. So don't be surprised to see me add some strikes into next week on Dell. IIPR. So they announced earnings after the close yesterday. Pretty much just an update on their business. Their revenues came in slightly lower than expectations. They did announce 4 more rental locations. The stock is down a little lower, I guess, in just because of that result, but I don't think it changes anything with the story. I think the trend in that space is to the upside. IIPR's well positioned to take advantage of that. Thankfully locked into May strikes, which will lose some premium here at the open. Don't be surprised if it gets back over the close of 107.70 for me to add some calls there. And IIPR really like that one. Turn Pharmaceuticals added some more strikes yesterday, right in the afternoon. I think there was 520 calls traded yesterday and 0 puts. I mean, that's not a guarantee of future performance, but certainly bullish in nature. And then, sure enough, at 4:05 in the afternoon, right after the close, they announced leadership changes, which didn't look to be anything meaningful. So there's small biotech names that I've followed in the past, where their chief medical officer or what have you leaves the company. That's a big deal. This is not a big deal. It just seemed like a little bit updating their bench, and gotta, I'm not familiar with a lot of these folks, so I think it just bodes well for the future. It is down a little bit here in the pre-market. I think reverses course. Take a look at the chart, all the way up to the 50-day moving average, which is 603 yesterday. Seems like, ironically enough, they come out with news that pushes it back under the 50-day in the pre-market. Hopefully, recoups that today. And don't be surprised. I was looking at October strikes. They were expensive yesterday. Maybe at the open they're a little less expensive. I'll look to add some of those when they're going to release their oral data in the back half of 2024. Cardlytics. What else to say about this one? I don't get it, and I put it on the watch list, which should be sent out. If not, it'll be out in the next minute or two. The mixed bag of earnings, a little slight miss on the revenues, guidance, lower band, I guess, of their guidance was not as expected, and the stock is tumbling. I mean, it closed at 1460. It's sitting here at 1020. I don't get it. Again, I can go and do a rant for 50 minutes about why I think this company trades substantially lower than where it should, but the market determines where it should trade. So thankfully, just like IIPR locked some of those June strikes in, still have the Mays. The Mays is going to open rough, pending any crazy catalyst. Heading into next week, it's going to be tough for those to come back to life. Probably a name I'll just kind of put on the sidelines again until it's very hard to understand a story when the market reaction doesn't jive with my sentiment and my due diligence and things like that. So it probably makes sense not to waste effort or energy on that one. And then finally, FIVERR. So FIVERR was a name I was bullish on last year. There was folks selling the name off based on this AI craze, right? They thought that AI would supplant FIVERR's business. It's a gig economy similar to Uber and Lyft, but for the digital side of things. People need to do websites, need to do programming, need to do chatbots, all that fun stuff. They need to do graphics, photographs, things like that. And finally, today, FIVERR, they announced a nice beat and raise. They announced a nice buyback a couple weeks ago, which spiked the stock. And then this morning cited the AI boom as being a tailwind for them. And they've seen their average revenue per user go up, which is a good sign. And then they also mentioned that over 10,000 gigs are associated with AI, which is huge. Back when I was trying to refute the bear case on AI, on FIVERR based on this AI boom, there was only 1,000 gigs for AI. Now there's over 10,000. So I think it just bodes well. The stock is trading substantially lower than where it used to trade a couple years ago. Not saying it gets back into the 300s, but I do think there's an opportunity to play for some upside. So don't be surprised if I'm finally back in some FIVERR calls today to play for a move to 25 in the next week or two and possibly 30 in the coming months. And that's about it. There is earnings after the close. You have Mara, you have Unity. Unity, another one of those names just drives me nuts. I'm surprised this stock still trades where it does, but I'm probably going to stay away from that. Frog, SOUN, AI name, which NVIDIA has a stake in. Maybe that one starts to go. And yeah, go from there. Roblox, some other names are just interesting to fall back. RBLX, I'd be looking at that name. I mean, it's front and center in regards to what's going on in gaming and adolescents and teenagers using platforms and creating content and things like that. And the big buzzword last year and even the year before was Web 3.0, and Roblox is supposed to be that, and Meta. But rants for other days. Let's yeah. Yeah, Kathy Wood. There's a fixation with her, and there's always been fixations over the years on some of these bull and bear funds, and folks who've done well. Obviously, Michael Burry from The Big Short. Everybody, he has a Twitter handle, and his not even his Twitter handle, but someone who makes fun of his Twitter handle probably has more followers than I do, right? Hundreds of thousands of followers. It's it's like it's like driving in your car going eastbound, and there's a car wreck in the westbound side, and everybody stops, right? Bumper bumper to bumper traffic, because everybody wants to look at what's going on the other side of the road. That's Kathy Wood, right? Everybody, yeah, I hate to use the analogy, but everybody wants to see her get in an accident. Maybe it makes people feel good. I don't know what it is. She's had some great calls, and I can remember, of course, Tesla is one of those that everybody says she hangs her hat on, but she was, amidst all the craziness that was going on, she was steadfast, and it paid dividends. But now she's in some of these names, and she's been talking about some of these transitions, even Roku. They used to. It's anyway. Rants for other days. We got to get going here. About 22 minutes to open. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on the audio later. Rock and roll.